Hello everyone, this is Joanna. Thank you so much for joining me. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. And for those of you who are new, welcome, and I hope you stay here and I hope you like what you hear. These are going to be your messages for the month of October. I have made a point on most of the videos to be very vocal about what my intention is with these messages. And I was actually asked by my spiritual team to let you know what that intention is and the purpose for why I do this. And the main reason why I do this for you, why I give you messages, is to give you tools and understandings so that you can apply it in your life in a way that allows you to feel freer, to feel much more empowered, to feel less stuck, to feel much happier. So that is what my intention is with every single message that I receive from Spirit. So whether you are a Taurus or whether you are Virgo, whether you are Scorpio or some other sign, whatever comes through these messages for you, they're meant to make you think, they're meant to make you stop and pause, and they're meant to make you reevaluate perhaps some things in your life. That also means that the focus isn't as much on predictions, and the basic idea for it, or the main reason for it, is the predictive component of your future is very much tied to you and who you are as a person and what your beliefs are. So for me to say this is going to happen is very much dependent on where you're at. And I think most of you get that. But my greatest joy and my greatest wish for you is always to hear that my messages help you, because they help you stop and think, and as a result of that you reevaluate some things, you shuffle some things in your mind, and you begin to have a brand new perspective which changes your perception of everything. So that is my intention for you, and it's important that I say this to you so that when you listen to this, you may say, that's not for me, I want to know what's going to happen. Or you may say, this is exactly for me because I want to know what's preventing me from certain things in my life. These messages, as you notice, are coming early for you. I will try to make it a habit of making them early. It is not the easiest task with my full plate, but I will do the best I can. I am also going to be offering live sessions on YouTube, so stay tuned. And I will do my best to do one in October. So stay tuned. This will be, I will let you know. And as always, thank you so much for liking, for sharing, for subscribing. Without you, I always say, I wouldn't do this. And it brings me great joy and great happiness to see your comments on how my messages help you. And I think that's all I have. I hope you enjoy these. Of course, if it doesn't make sense to you at the beginning of when you hear it, listen to it towards the end of the month. You guys tell me that more often than not, it applies to you way more. So without further ado, let's get moving. Hello, beautiful Aries. These are going to be your messages for the sign for the month of October 2018. I'd like to just tune in first and foremost. Okay, I'm supposed to say this to you. So my intention for you was to give you whatever guidance would be most important for you to hear right now in order to help you look at some things within you that will allow you a fundamental shift and change of consciousness. So this is my intention for you. So whatever information comes through, it is for the purpose to help you know yourself better, because then we have more choices. So if it doesn't make sense to you at the beginning, of course, listen to it at the end of the month. But this is what my intention is for you today, and I was asked to make that very clear to you. Perhaps once you hear it, you'll stay, and then you'll hear it. It's like, no, not for me. I don't want to know about myself. For whatever reason, it's important for me to say that. All right. Let me tune into your energy. I get a sense of frustration and also blame. A feeling of frustration, feeling like something is not going your way, but there is this blame you have inside of you that somehow it's because of you. There's some sort of frustration. Now, for those of you who this makes sense for, it is because you are avoiding change. In other words, the card of death is being shown to me in my mind, which symbolizes transformation. But the way it's being shown to me, it's because you are either refusing to go through this transformation. In other words, you're putting things off with regards to needing to look at yourself, or it's something that you're trying desperately to avoid for whatever reason. One of it is change. So there is a frustration with this. I know it's not going to last the whole month, but there is a general feel. So if you've been feeling that way, if you're going to feel that way at some point, this is probably the reasons why. I'm also being shown that endings are near for many of you, as in some things need to be cut out of your life. Things that are unimportant, unnecessary, draining your resources and energy, or making you sick, and everything in between. If you have been involved in something like this for quite some time and you are refusing to let it go for whatever reason it is for you, it's important that you look at this in the month of October, because you're needing to end a certain chapter of your life. This has to do a lot with how you feel about yourself, but it's time to shift here. So transitions is going to be one of those things. 5 is being shown to me, so some of you may connect with the month of May or the number 5, but number 5 to me signifies changes as well. So we are all in transitions. It's not just you. You're not just the lucky one. Every single one of us are going through some inner transformation. But it sounds you are being urged to look at something that is really important. For some of you, I'm actually getting anger and rage, and that's interesting. Not because it is something bad, but because it is controlling you. So any emotion that we feel that tends to be over amplified or over exaggerated for whatever reason, it tends to eat away at you eventually, where it then turns against you. You blame the world, you blame yourself. It's a battle that's very hard to win. So chances are this message is for those of you who have deep anger or deep rage towards perhaps humanity, towards a friend, towards a coworker, towards something that happened in the past, all the things that we experience that don't feel good, but we try not to hold on to it too much. I also feel the frustrations that you have been feeling very much is representing what's going on inside of you. In other words, if there is turmoil happening in your life and it is not going away, the message here is, again, I'm being shown and the cycle, but the message here is you need to look inside what's really going on inside of you that keeps reflecting this to you outside. For example, if you are always blamed for something, and you never do it, it's almost like you want to say, why do I keep attracting this? Like, why is this happening to me? And then I hear the words, feel bad about yourself, value system. So obviously, if that is the case for you, a very drastic example, it will eventually make you doubt you, and that will not make you a very happy person. And one way to deal with it is through angst or anger or rage or anger. And it's a valid feeling to have as a result of this particular situation, but it's not one you want to have for the rest of your life, because it doesn't serve you. Okay, I'm going to move on from that. Also, I'm being shown you weeding things out. So weeding things out, well, we know what that means. Anything that is clutter outside of you, but particularly clutter in your mind. So this is your belief system, your thinking, particularly about how you do things. Why about how you do things? Everything you do is based on what you believe. So looking at how you do things is very important because it'll give you a feedback of what you believe. So for example, if you constantly reject things out of goodness, for other people. In other words, if people continue to give you something, or they give you help, or they give you assistance, and you constantly keep saying no, look at the behavior and notice what it represents inside of you. Chances are there is a whole lot of stuff going on that is based in the idea of lack, as in you not having enough of something internally, that then is translating itself in life. All right. So what is the card that's representing kind of the energies? You have the card message of homing beacon, and there's few messages here. One, there is a profound need for you to reconnect with your true inner self. Not the one that thinks and preoccupies your mind, but the one that is deep inside of you, that is yearning to have you hear its voice, but you're not listening. So intuition is coming to mind. This is for those of you who need to connect more with your inner self for more guidance, for more, for anything. Intuition is our spiritual guide. It's our Siri, it's our GPS. And if you are externally focused much of the time, particularly when you're blaming the world, or if you're being blamed or blaming whatever, we blame all the time. But if that is the case for you, more of the time than not, then you need to really spend some time in contemplation to figure out what is going on inside of you to make you think that, to make you think that. So reconnect with your higher self, very important. For some of you, feel the need to want to go deep inside. So this is a yearning or a calling, so to speak, of your spirit that says, hey, come down with me, have a cup of coffee, let's chat. That's interesting how that came out, actually. That's kind of cute. So you might have this yearning inside of you that says, I want to be alone. I want to be alone. Chances are that you need to meditate. Chances are, if that's happening, that you need to meditate, that you need to be still. Your spirit is calling to you and saying, let's have a chat. So it's important to spend some time alone. For some of you, you may have this feeling like you just want to go back home, whatever home is for you. Generally, when we have this feeling of wanting to go home, some of you, it's source. It very much is a feeling because something inside of us is missing and we feel like we don't belong here. So for some of you, this is what you're experiencing, and that's deep. I know what it feels like. It is not very comfortable. So that is the message. So the overall message here is, month of October would be advisable for you to spend in some sort of contemplation, particularly if you have some things inside of you to deal with, like anger, for example. It's time to have a chat with your higher self, with your soul. And you have the card building blocks, which is, you are building a brand new foundation. So it's time for you to buckle up, get something straight, figure some things out, throw some things that are not necessary, and let's move on with life in a better form. So clearly, I am speaking for those of you who have been struggling, whose life or certain aspects in one's life have not been going very well according to you. And there's been a lot of frustration, there's been a lot of anger, as there would be, naturally so. But it's time to let go and move on. It's time to let go of the past and transition into something different. And this is telling me that many of you come from the belief that life always happens to you. And sometimes we have those moments and it is okay. But when that is rooted in a fundamental belief, then one becomes choiceless oftentimes. In other words, one feels they have no choices because they come from this idea of lack, essentially. And if that is the case, then it will show itself in life in certain patterns that will repeat themselves over time. Point is, you are here in the month of October to magnify some things about you that need attention. And why do we use magnifying glass? My God is being very technical today. Why do we need a magnifying glass in order to look at things? Well, because it helps us to see clearly. Otherwise, we can't. So we can't deal with it, appreciate it, whatever. So it's important for you to do that. Now, you also have Three of Pentacles. What this is saying to me is that this is where you might be struggling with, or you may have been struggling with. You may have been feeling like you and other people are not on the same page. In other words, forming social circles for some of you is very difficult because of what you believe. And I have no idea what that would be actually, but it could be anything. Let's say a drastic example. Let's say you blame the world for your misfortunes, and therefore everybody that talks to you, well, they're part of the world, so you're against them. In other words, you feel like the world, it's the world in you, and you got to fend for yourself. You will naturally become someone who tends to be quite defensive. Why? Because you always have the need to not to prove yourself, but you always have the need to survive. You always feel like you need to be strong and resilient because something is going to come and get you. Well, it's the world. So cooperation for some of you with other people might be difficult. For some of you, it's because you constantly feel like you have to prove yourself to others. So you go over and above things, but then you end up feeling kind of crappy about yourself. And you say, well, why did I do it again? Why did I do it? So there's that almost like a loop feedback where you don't believe the world is there for you. And you fall into the trap of proving yourself to other people, and you end up overdoing things, and then you get mad at yourself because, well, you wasted your time, you wasted your energy, you got nothing in return. So this is a vicious cycle. I hope what I just said makes sense to you. So if that applies to you on some level, if this is an example of something that has happened to you in your life, you really need to look at it. You need to look at the magnifying glass and ask yourself the question, why I am the way I am? In other words, what makes me believe this about this or that? Where does it come from for me? How did I get it? And why is it so important that I continue to do this particular way? In other words, you are questioning your very existence and how you do things. And when that happens, apparently magic happens. Why? Because all of a sudden you start seeing things differently and different doors appear to you. And the irony is that it's not that the doors were not there before, is that you were not able to see it because your angle or the way you were looking at things was very different. So very interesting twist on how we think, how we believe in things, and why and how we do things. So cooperation is a big key here. For some of you, it is about being part of a team. It is about feeling like you are that you are not worthy, not worthy. You're being appreciated. For many of you, it's very, very important to feel appreciated. And before I go further, we all want to be appreciated. It's got nothing to do with that. It is more about, do we go out of our way to get appreciation because we don't appreciate ourselves enough to be okay, so we constantly reach for that. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. So again, notice yourself first, and I want to say don't compare yourself to others. So notice yourself first. What does that mean? Always value yourself first over other people. And that doesn't mean you can't value other people. But if you constantly undervalue yourself and other people seem to be more valuable to you somehow, not valuable, I'm going to rephrase, they somehow represent more value. They're better looking, they're richer, they've got more money, they're younger, they're taller, they're fitter. The list is endless. If that's the key, You need to ask yourself this question: why do I keep doing this comparison? Why is this so important to me? And generally you'll come up with some questions that will make you go, I didn't know that. And what happens then is you get the aha moment. So transformation is clearly in the works here. The Empress in reverse to me signifies that there is, I want to say, the world wants to give to you, but you have been stuck. And what I mean by this is, the world always happens for you, or life happens for you, life doesn't happen to you. And I know it is difficult for many to understand that or accept it, because, well, when crap happens, then how is it happening for us, right? But the bigger picture is that anything that we encounter, particularly the things that are not comfortable, have the potential to shape and form us in a way that we couldn't otherwise have. So in other words, those times are often catalysts for a profound shift and change in who we are. So why did I get on that subject? Well, the universe wants to give to you, but if you are coming from the place of, I don't believe that there is enough in the world, or from the place of lack, you will resist things that come to you. So rather than what, and that, how will this appear? So for some of you, you may have felt very stagnant with regards to your creativity. You may have felt stuck. You may have felt suspended. I'm seeing the hangman in my mind. But again, I hear the choice was always yours to remain stuck. So I see what they're doing. This is very interesting because this is for those of you who are up for it. This is kind of forcing you to think about some things. And these things are often important. And you will realize upon looking at these things, whatever that means for you in your life, that there are different choices and decisions, or there are other choices and decisions that you haven't thought of yet because you were looking at things from a different perspective. And then he says, give them an example. The one that comes to me right away is, you're standing in front of a huge oak tree, but you are nose to the trunk, like you're so close. When you open your eyes, all you see is, well, black, brown, whatever the bark is, because all you see is the trunk of the tree. That's all you see. You can't see anything else. But then you move back 500 yards or meters. All of a sudden you realize, oh my God, this tree not only has more than that, it has leaves, it has branches. And wait a minute, the tree is somewhere. And all of a sudden you see so much more. So when that happens, the whole world opens up because your perspective changes. And once your perspective changes, there's no going back. There is no going back when you begin to have awareness. You can choose to ignore it, but you can never fundamentally go back to not having it again. So, tremendous opportunity for growth, I feel, for you, whoever you are. There's a message here of looking internally for peace, particularly if things are feeling chaotic, and sometimes they do, right? But there's a need for you to go inside and check in with yourself. Very, very important. Again, number 10 is being shown to me, which, yes, it is October, but 10 symbolizes to me wrapping things up, letting go and moving on. It is a completion period. And this will, for most of you that hear this, is a completing an internal chapter where you fundamentally shift and change. As a result, you will change the course of your future. So in other words, there are new beginnings possible for you down the road, and I'm seeing early next year. And you have the 10 of Cups. I mean, at the end of this, to get 10 of Cups, which is, well, fantastic as far as I'm concerned. Again, it's a 10. So you're moving towards a completion internally, emotionally, that will play itself out in your life. The moment you begin to see things differently, the moment you begin to feel more peace inside, it is amazing what happens outside because you attract it. it's like all of these things appear now to you that they didn't before, and it's actually quite mesmerizing. Anyway, I think I'm going off too far. I hope this was helpful. Of course, if it makes no sense to you right now, listen to it later. I have a feeling that most of this will be able to apply this to someplace in your life. For private sessions, that information is, of course, down below. Thank you again so much. I wish you best of luck. Take care of yourself. Completion, and good luck. Bye.